thinking about how to get a bunch of 20-year-olds who don't have a ton of managerial experience working together to build a larger project is interesting. One thing I was thinking, I don't know, I read a little bit of managerial theory and I heard this one book describe a few different structures. You can have one really good programmer who kind of uses a bunch of programmers around them as basically it's like agents, or like they're kind of the router programmer and they tell people what to do. But we don't exactly have someone who's currently super experienced, I would say, who's not also very busy, which is an unfortunate thing. There's some really good engineers I know, but most of them are full-time doing their own thing. So I was thinking what the project is currently is building long-term memory for LLMs and getting a kind of brain-computer interface going through an Obsidian Vault / keeping track of personal information about you, so that you could have a long-term companion partner kind of. I don't know, there's more to it than that, but that's the basic gist. How do you make long-term memory in an LLM? And a component to it will be kind of creating an ontology of your life and people in it and events that you've experienced and things you know. Some kind of ontology and structure that can be queried by LLMs. There's a bunch of different ways to look at doing it. A graph rag, some people have more fancy kinds of trees and data structures they were talking about. But getting this to actually happen, I was thinking one way to do it could be having everyone try to implement this project kind of individually at first, and maybe you can pair program with one or two other people if you want to, but you don't have to. Having everyone who's interested in collaborating do the project on their own and experiment on their own, just so we can start writing code, so we can start doing something. And we'll give that maybe a week or whatever, and people can check in and share ideas all through this time. And then in a week's time, we'll take a look at what everyone's done, and everyone will go through and kind of give a tour. This is what I've got working. This is what's kind of janky. And we can take everyone's and then take all the best elements of them and try to kind of combine, in our next iteration, everyone goes off on their own again and kind of takes what everyone else found to be helpful and kind of go from there, and almost develop this it's an evolutionary algorithm, if that makes sense. Every generation kind of gets combined with the next. I don't know if that'll exactly work, and maybe down the road that will run into some problems, but right now it's the best way I can think of to kind of organize this in a way that's flat and not hierarchical, just because we kind of lack someone to be higher up in the hierarchy, I think. I could try to read some more managerial theory and give it a go, but I don't know. It feels a little weird to me to do that for some reason. I'm trying to be mindful and think about why I can't logically really put a reason on it. I'm trying to feel what it. I've been trying to do this thing recently, which sounds a little weird, but to decide things from intuition rather than through thought, through working it out through thought. There's an idea that kind of comes from Zen, but it's our intuition is a very powerful machine. We're just a guy, or we're just a perception, a spotlight that's coming out of a prediction machine. I'm just walking around in a very powerful prediction machine that I don't have to manually control. It just predicts things for me. And so yeah, this is weird, but I try to make decisions based on feelings more. And I when I sit down to do something, if I feel a certain way about it, I really try to pay attention to that, and I try to think about why, but that's sometimes a dead end. So sometimes I just kind of roll with the feelings of things. And I guess an example of that is I was talking to this one guy and we were both very excited about this project, kind of LLMs with memory. And so I was awesome, I have this intuition to try to get a bunch of other people involved. But I felt a certain strange way about it. I don't know, and he did too, and we talked about it for a while. We tried to sit with what that felt like and why. And it felt like a little uncomfortable to try to get a bunch of people involved, because when you do that, it transforms the project. There's like more cooks in the kitchen, I guess, and the project becomes a little bit less in your control, and you have to kind of accommodate multiple people's viewpoints, which is just, I don't know, it becomes less lean when it's just like you and someone you really know and enjoy working with. There's just a bunch of other personalities to kind of work with, and social battery is limited, I guess. And all that complex reasoning, right, was just like, I had to tease it apart. It was just in kind of a feeling. And it's interesting, we can kind of make decisions randomly on the fly like that. You'll notice it sometimes. You'll just have a certain feeling about a person or a thing, and it maybe it's not always correct, but it's pretty good, I've found. Just that feeling, intuition. I don't know. So that's I guess another reason for this kind of evolutionary structure and developing this project, because just like it's an interesting way to kind of accommodate different people's visions of what this could be like, and let them kind of run wild on their own with it. Yeah, that's about all I have for this one.